Hello, good afternoon, everybody. So we're here to talk about the hotspot analysis of violent crime in the Antelope Valley TPI community. So to start things off, what I'm going to do is just going to give you a bit of an introduction as far as what the Trauma Prevention Initiative or TPI, just an overview of the program. So basically, TPI is really a community-based approach to public safety that invests in peer innovation strategies, aligning basically county services and initiatives to support community-driven safety solutions. This was first implemented in 2016 in South LA. It was implemented in 4 unincorporated areas that you see here on this map, including Westmont, West Athens, Willowbrook, Florence Firestone, and unincorporated Compton. Basically, as part of TPI, we have 3 main buckets of funded strategies. And really, we prioritize intervention to stem the flow of violence and then moves upstream to capacity building and prevention to address the root causes of violence through community empowerment and systems change. I do want to focus a little bit on the street outreach, which is what the focus of this presentation would be, which is under the intervention bucket. So street outreach employs credible messengers to respond to violent incidents. Whenever there's a stabbing, a shooting, they go out there and conduct rumor control, and also help maintain peace across neighborhoods. They also conduct safe passages just to make sure kids, get safe to and from school and parks, and also link gang-impacted communities or folks to community services and resources as well. So as of 2022, July of last year, the Board of Supervisors approved a motion to expand TPI to 5 new communities and provide additional resources to South Los Angeles. So we basically expanded to communities throughout LA County, including the Antelope Valley, Hawaiian Gardens, and Pomona, Puente Valley, and East LA. So, and also provided some additional funding to deepen the investment in South LA. And we expanded from 4 to 9 communities. And particularly for the focus of this presentation, we'll be talking about the 5th district. So as part of the expansion in this year, we expanded to the Antelope Valley. Now, as far as the TPI boundaries, really just includes the cities of Lancaster and Palmdale. So as you can see from this map, it is surrounded by unincorporated areas, but they're not part of the TPI community. Now, being that this effort is really to reduce violence, the actual community in the TPI in the Antelope Valley is over 200 square miles. So, the question came about where should efforts be concentrated, right? It is such a vast area and it's only limited amount of funding. So to help answer that question, we turned to the optimized hotspot analysis to really help narrow down where the effort should be concentrated. So for that and to talk more in detail about the analysis portion of it, I'll turn it over to Ricardo. Ricardo?
Thank you, Alfonso. Okay, thank you again. And as Alfonso has introduced us to the idea of the Trauma Prevention Initiative communities, the one we are focusing on in this presentation is the Antelope Valley TPI communities. And as Alfonso has pointed out, the TPI community in the Antelope Valley is comprised of the cities of Lancaster and Palmdale. So what I would like to bring to your attention here is a focused analysis that we performed regarding what is on the ground in the TPI community that we are talking about. So we're talking about a 200 square mile area. The estimated number of people living in the TPI Antelope Valley community was over 350,000, and this is based on the 2020 census population counts. at the census block level. And all this data is available from our county GIS repository. So this is official data that we used and publicly available as well. We counted that about 4 out of 5 census blocks per the 2020 census count had at least one person counted. So the median population in the 2020 census blocks, the median population was about 65 persons per census block. What I would like to do next is to move to the next slide. Alfonso? Oh, thank you. And so bring to your attention the actual county sheriff's data that we used to inform this analysis. So for the record, all the data that we used here is publicly available. And in this case, it's our county sheriff's data for the fiscal year 21-22. So that goes from July 1st, 21 through June 30th of 2022. For that period, and for purposes of this analysis, we identified a total of 6,996, or roughly 7,000 Part 1 crimes reported in the Antelope Valley TPI communities of Lancaster and Palmdale. The median number of Part 1 crimes per census tract was 49 crimes in that Part 1 crimes in that fiscal year. As you can see here, there are 8 major crime categories placed under the Part 1 crime definition. This is the Uniform Crime Reporting, or UCR program, for the Federal Bureau of Investigations, of FBI. So we see here that we are dealing with a variety of violent crimes as having affected the TPI community in this fiscal year, 21-22. Can we move to the next slide, please? Yes, so what this slide shows here is the actual counts for each of those Part 1 crime categories. And what we identified was that the majority of crimes related to Part 1 in the Antelope Valley TPI community. This is very important to observe. We are not considering the entire Antelope Valley for this analysis, only the TPI communities of City of Lancaster and Palmdale. So in this analysis, we identified that larceny, theft, take #1 place in the number of Part 1 crimes that were reported in that fiscal year. Can we move to the next slide, please? For this analysis, we did not distinguish between any of those categories. This is important to bring to our audience's attention, and that is purposely done because our community partners in the Antelope Valley decided that it would be better to take all Part 1 crimes to identify hotspots related to violent crimes. So we did not distinguish between homicides and larceny, theft, or robbery or aggravated assaults, but they are all part of this analysis. So what we did, we took the total number of crime incidents or cumulative incident for that fiscal year, and we actually used the census block centroids within the boundaries of the TPI community that is identified on this map, to create crime overpopulation weighted census block centroids. And this is a precursor, but setting up the data for the next part of the analysis. What we also did was to exclude any census block centroids that in the final data set had a population of 0, even if a crime was reported to have occurred within that census block. If there was no population to weigh it against, we excluded that. So this is, again, purposely. We move to the next slide, please. So as we can see here, we are doing a data reduction. We go from almost 7,000 incident points down to, I think it was in the other slide, the number of census block centroids that are weighted. And even from that, we excluded some that did not have a population or had a population of 0. So we left those out. So the next part of our optimized hotspot analysis was to apply this weighted census block centroids to the cluster and outlier analysis tool in ArcGIS Pro. And this is what this model is showing. So why that is important is because for our next step in the optimized hotspot analysis, we need a z-score derived from running the cluster and outlier analysis in this tool. So the Anselin local Morantz I statistic is that z-score that we needed for our next portion of the analysis. The z-scores and p-values represent the statistical significance of the computed index value, so that this basically is helping us identify clustering or dispersion of normalized census block centroids after they were weighted to the population, the underlying population, and the number of crimes that were counted within that census block for that time period. We move to the next slide, please. And so the next step was to apply the inverse distance weighted interpolation model. Again, this is all from or found in ArcGIS Pro tools. To be able to predict a value for unmeasured locations, we apply the inverse distance weight to crime weighted census blocks. And we assume that part 1 crime to population weighted census block centroids with higher weight values would have more influence over nearby prediction locations than census block centroids with lower weights. And then if we move to the next slide, we will have our end result, which is interesting. I'm not familiar with the Antelope Valley, but our next speaker is. And an interesting finding here is that this localized hotspots related to part 1 crimes for that fiscal year in the Antelope Valley TPI community were detected along the Sierra Highway or Highway 14. And what we don't have here in this slide, or we don't have another slide like that, but what I wanted to point out is that these areas are areas with higher poverty and other socially vulnerable aspects in the Antelope Valley TPI communities that help us better understand that these areas of crime have more people living in poverty and with scarce resources, socioeconomically speaking. So we can move to Andy Stratas. Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. My name is Andy Estrada, and I am the project coordinator for the Trauma Prevention Initiative program in the Antelope Valley, or SPA1. It's a pleasure to be here with you all. I'm glad to be here to share how GIS and the several available data layers helped my team and I with our landscape analysis and decision-making progress in identifying our target population.
Sorry, Andy, let me see, because the PowerPoint just went down, so let me open it.
No worries, no worries.
Apologies.
Do you know what slide you guys are on? I can go from
You
here.
know, sorry, I'm on the last two. I'm already showing, but it looks like on my it's delayed.
Okay, well, I've got my screen up now. So where are you, Andres?
It's slide 17.
17. Okay,
Yeah.
let's just get, oh, it's something fancy. Okay,
Yeah,
go
it's
ahead.
just
I'll just run it for you from here. Just tell me when to advance.
okay, sounds good. Yeah, so just really quickly, this is just a drone video filmed from, yeah, if you could just keep replaying it, thank you. That shows the general landscape of how the Antelope Valley looks. So the first thing that you will probably notice is that there is a lot of open land. In my opinion, this is both a strength and a weakness, right? We have a lot of space for housing and economic development, but getting around the city is nearly impossible if you don't have a car, which creates a lot of public health problems. I think this view is important to demonstrate because when people think of Los Angeles County, right, they think of cityscapes and palm trees, but it's important to remember that not all parts are as developed and resourced as the city of Los Angeles itself. We could go on to the next slide, please. Thank you. So as previously said, the Antelope Valley is a huge area. And with our trauma prevention initiative project, we need to identify the communities and populations that need additional support. And this is where GIS comes in handy. So without GIS, the decisions that my team and I make would be based on personal bias and our experience living in the Antelope Valleys. Since the area is so large, we don't intimately know the whole valley and do not know the whole story. So being able to look at the maps helps me learn about hotspots that I usually do not visit or have never been to. And at our first glance, some of the hotspots did not catch us by surprise. Personal experience is very valuable to our team, but it was necessary and informative to have this verification. However, some of the hotspots did catch us by surprise. For instance, the census tract with the most overall crime, including property and violent crime, was located where our country club is. And this is a wealthy neighborhood with a private golf course, a nice restaurant, etc. So we really wanted to understand what was going on. And, were these houses targeted for property crimes? So this propelled my team to request specific crime numbers for each census tract in the Antelope Valley. And we discovered that the high crime was being driven by larceny theft by the neighboring shopping center. So GIS maps can be nuanced, and they lead our team to ask the proper questions. And additional maps helped us see that the census tracts with the most violent crime contain or border K through 12 schools, which helped us decide on students being our target population per prevention. And all of this was made possible because of TIS and Alfonso and Ricardo. So I'll wrap it up there so we have time for our Q&A. So thank you.